Good evening, ladies and gents. By the way, my phone was lighting up there. Like, oh, he is live. He is live. I'm watching and nothing's happening. He is live. Have I missed it? No, you have not. J Mac was having some terrible technical issues, as always, before we started the show. So I had to make sure that he was
the number 6 bus.
had to make sure that he was ready to go, because only the best for all you guys that tune in every Sunday night without fail.
What's good is I don't even think I need to try and convince people that you're lying at this point. So I'm not going to bother, but he's fucking lying. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
There definitely were technical issues. Anyways, tonight we have a very special episode. This one is a wee bit of a break for the movies. And it's been a while since we've actually took a break for the movies. It used to be that we'd do this quite like at least 2-3 times a month. We would, speak to somebody interesting about something really interesting. A lot of the time it would be within the paranormal realm, but we started getting fed up with all the charlatans, and it kind of knocked us a wee bit for a wee while. So we kind of stuck to movies. But tonight we have a very special guest. Her name is Lindsay Paton. She is the Soulful Explorer, which is available now everywhere, by the way. Well, most places. There's they're on Saxo. You can buy it on Amazon. The link is also in the comments. So if you're wherever you're watching tonight, Twitch, Facebook, wherever, and if you're listening to this in the archives on Spotify or wherever, you can just go to the description and you'll find the links to go and purchase this book. There's an audiobook on the way. This story, I mean, I'm not going to tell you much about it, right? Because that's for Lindsay to kind of dip your feet in enough to make you want to go and buy the book. But this story is her journey to become the Soulful Explorer. So she, just like everybody else, was normal, so to speak. I don't think any of us are really normal, but to kind of sum it up.
You're not. No, definitely.
Well, that's been said. But she was living her life the same way everybody does. And for in many different ways, there was something else calling her to discover her full self. Something I'm looking forward to really talking to her and working with her. But anyway, I'm not gonna say much about it. I'm gonna let her do it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Lindsay Paton. Lindsay, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Of course, our pleasure. It was actually our mutual friend Lee, who is Miss Angel, who's been on this podcast before, who blew everybody away, by the way. She came on this podcast, right? And it was usually we go for about an hour, but we were on like 2.5 hours because Janice came on the show. Everybody jumped on the show and was like, do me now, do me. And Lee's like, oh, now.
She's pretty spectacular.
She's something else. Eh? Well, she had been singing your praises for some time and was like, Kev, you need to meet her. And just this week we did, and I think it's kind of our energy has met, and it's such a synergy that it's been running through my wife's even been like, oh, again, you're going to keep telling me more. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of I really want to share everything that we've chatted about with everybody else so that they may share exactly what it is that you do. So we'll maybe start at the beginning, because you've written a book that isn't. And by the way, people look at a book like this and go, oh, it's going to be about all these different things that, for me, when I read a book, I'm like, oh, here we go. But it's not. It's actually your story. That's your story mixed with all the, how you got to different parts. Then that's what I got from it today. And I've not read it all. I've only just dabbled. So do you want to maybe take everybody here back to the beginning and tell them exactly what it was that set you on becoming the Soulful Explorer?
Yeah. And I just want to say, first and foremost, J Mac, thanks very much for taking the hit on the technical issues.
I have.
It was definitely me.
There's no need to thank me, because you might have noticed I have zero fucking control over any of that. Kev just throws me right under any bus that happens to be passing by. And that's just become the way of it. But I'll take it anyway, so you're welcome.
Thank you. All right. So the Soulful Explorer, it was quite interesting because I've came from a mainly corporate background. I've been in sales and marketing for best part of 26 years. So I've kind of been navigating life and everything that life throws at you. Not realizing at all the reason that I acted in certain ways and the reasons that I thought in certain ways. And there was a pivotal moment that happened to me in my 20s. that made me want to kind of go a little bit deeper into myself. And then I started to get knee deep in personal development. So as part of that journey, and I think it was listening to music. Music has always been something that's drove me. I've always deeply resonated with music my whole life. And with one song in particular, it was Ian Brown's Fear. And I don't know if you guys have heard that or not.
Yeah,
But
it's one of his most popular
you
ones.
heard it, yeah. It struck a particular chord with me in the sense that for everything there is a reason. So that kind of made me go on a journey of self-exploration. And I was dabbling in what I would say is a healing journey from there. Didn't recognize it, didn't realize that's what I was doing. But I was never, ever, ever really satisfied with where I was in life. So at the age of 22, I'd already had 2 kids. And then I had a couple of failed relationships. And I always wanted more. And that was mainly driven by my adolescence and my upbringing. I always felt lack. I always felt like I didn't fit in, didn't know the reason why, always struggled with that. So I then became a bit of a chameleon, always trying to fit in with different people and in different places. So fast forward, I got to around about the age of 36. And there was something that kind of ignited within me that made me want to go even deeper than where I was. And I started realizing a lot of things in my life. Like, I was always driven by what I felt was lack and scarcity and a lot of fear that was driven from how I perceived my upbringing to be. So what kind of happened is there was something that clicked within me that started to make me feel guilty. Right? I was guilty about how disconnected I was from my family, how much I had kind of tried to push them away and keep them at arm's bay. So then I started to reconnect with my family a lot. But I was still going through this journey. So I was journaling a lot of what was going on in my life. And then lo and behold, I got to the age of 45. But I was maybe 44 because it was 22 that it started. And I started writing poetry, right? But all the poetry that I was writing, I was sharing it on my socials. And a lot of people had suggested to me that I was putting dirty washing out to dry. And I'm like, well, I don't have any dirty washing. And that's why I'm putting it out to dry. Because for me, everybody's got a story. But I started writing The Architect of My Soul. That's what it was. That's what I was, that I'd named it. And it was getting shared on my socials. But it was extracts of all of the things in my journal that had kind of helped shaped my life. And then I'd spoken to a friend and she'd written a book. And then from there, it kind of, all of my poetry had then became a chapter of my book. So that's basically what got me to writing the book. Mm-hmm. But there was something that was, and I know that you're saying about all the kind of supernatural stuff and all the people going against that. Mm-hmm. I myself went through an experience, a 13-week experience, where I was vividly dreaming, but I was remembering in vivid detail everything that I was dreaming. So I think what kickstarted that was me becoming perimenopausal, going to the doctors. And the only options that were made available to me at that time were either antidepressants and or HRT. But given some of the stuff that had happened in my life, HRT wasn't the right option for me. And I've always been a pretty optimistic person. So even going down the route of antidepressants, that was a massive decision for me. But I decided to accept it. So I took them. But I'd only taken them for a period of maybe 2 months. So what had happened was, and it was either the antidepressants or it was an actual spiritual awakening. So I don't know how much you know about the body, but your pineal gland, that secretes an acceptable level of DMT into our body every night to help it function. Mm-hmm. Now, because my serotonin levels were high, what that meant is that due to the antidepressants, I went on a natural DMT trip for about 13 weeks. So what that then meant...
It meant result.
Awesome.
I think this is bonkers, right? Because everybody that I'm speaking to is going, "You're so lucky." And I'm going, that was, like everything that's mystical and magical happened. So I was astral traveling. I received symbols. I received messages. There was certain aspects of what I was seeing that I could relate to what was happening in my life. The doctors thought that I was having a hypermanic episode. They were wanting to get me booked into the hospital. I was the most rational person that you'd ever come across. But anyway, by the time I got to 44, 45, my whole life turned upside down. And then, I lost a few people through COVID. All in all, between friends and family, it was 12 people. In the latter stages of that, it was my mum and my brother. So it kind of just was a catalyst for me to bring everything and put it all together and then take it out to the world. I have had a dream ever since I was 22. And what I was very aware of was kids from adverse backgrounds not having the opportunity or being dismissed as being disruptive because they're not in the right environment to allow them to shine. So you're very much indoctrinated into a school system, where I was, that wasn't capable of being flexible enough to understand my unique learning ability. So that kind of crushed me and it stopped me from shining. So I've wanted to open up leadership school for kids since I was 22 from adverse backgrounds to help them find their superpower and help them use the adversity as a superpower and push them forward and live fulfilling lives. So it's kind of been a mixture of everything. There's been lots that's been going on, but it started with me within the book, detailing my journey, and it kind of goes through in some sort of chronological order, but I do a lot of reflections in between it as well for some deeper understanding that I've gathered as I've written this. Use that in a way that I've aligned it with chakra development and the development of your human needs. So I do it from ages. I can remember back, the first ever memory I have is when I was 2-year-old and in a pram. And it was on an evening where my mum had returned home after being beat up. And I kind of got out the pram and kind of went over to her and comforted her. But I went through each chapter of my life from each of the memories that's been stored and kind of just shared that. So the whole book is a process of healing, but what it does is it allows people to look at their life or start to be able to look at their life as through the lens of an observer and start to look at it as lessons. Because when you detach yourself from everything that's happened or went wrong in your life and you do look at it through the lens of an observer, the nuggets, the golden nuggets that you find in that and the realizations that you find in that, it lights you up because you start to realize that a lot of this stuff that you think has made you doesn't belong to you. And when you can start to let go of that, you can really start to shine.
How difficult is that to separate yourself from your own memories and look at it from an outsider's point of view?
Yeah. So I share also in the book, right, and it's a bit of an NLP trick. I don't know if you guys have heard of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. No, right, okay. So basically, that was a modality that I picked up when I was 22. That was one of the first things that I did, but I didn't do it by way. So you'll know Paul McKenna. Yeah, so Paul McKenna's big on NLP. Yeah, so and a lot of healing modalities are all the foundations of everything is on NLP. Sales, marketing's all NLP. I didn't want to use it in that way. I wanted to use it in a way to learn how to communicate with myself. But one of the things, one of the teachings within that is being able to detach. So if you're to think of yourself and have a memory, right? So if I take you back to, say, last Christmas, right? But what I would do is I would get you to go in and you would be sitting in a cinema and you would be playing Last Christmas for you on a movie screen. Right. And you could sit with a remote control and you could fast forward that, or you could rewind it, or you could pause it. but you could sit and you could be watching it. That's detachment.
Okay.
If I wanted to get you to connect with that emotion and that feeling of what Christmas was like for you last year, I would get you to go into the movie screen and look through your eyes, hear through your ears, and actually be present inside that moment. So to detach, I would get you sit on a seat. You would sit on a seat and you would play it back and you would watch it as if it's a movie. So that's one of the ways that you can detach.
Right.
So like, if you had anything happen in your life that was quite pish, you would just essentially like view it
On the
like
TV.
someone viewing you. And is this something that you would just sit in your living room yourself and do, like as an exercise to help you detach from things?
Yeah, you could do it just now. I could get you to sit and close your eyes, and I could take you as if you're walking through. So you would close your eyes and you would walk into your living room if you want
Right
to do
now
it.
on the podcast.
Right now in the podcast.
Bring it on.
Okay, so just close your eyes. Yeah, both of you. You too.
All right. Okay.
You're not getting out of it. You're in the group. Right, okay, so just want you to close your eyes. Now, just take a couple of deep breaths in through your nose. And on the exhale, I want you to exhale, but I want to hear your breath as you exhale. It feels good, eh? I want you to do it again. In through the nose. And again, in through the nose. And just breathe out. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to visualize or sense or feel that you're walking in your house. You're opening the front door and you're walking through the hallway and you're going towards the living room. And as you open the living room door, I want you to sit down where you would normally sit. And I would want you to pick up the TV remote,
Can I get it off the wife?
Yeah, no, you need to do that.
Ask the wife.
You need to do it. Ask her. Send her out the room just now. It's just you. This is just your moment. Ask everybody else to leave. And you're just going to take a few moments and you're just going to be present and you're going to be present with yourself. So the TV's currently off and you're picking up the remote and you're going to turn it on. And as soon as you turn that on, an image of last Christmas comes on the screen. So tell me what you see, Kevin.
I see me looking bored as shit.
So you're looking bored as shit. Right, okay. So what are you doing? Explain what you're doing, what's happening.
I'm sitting at a table with many people.
You're sitting at a table with many people and you're bored as shit?
Yep.
Well, that's pretty bad. Right. So you're sitting at a table and you're feeling a little bit bored, right? Jay Mack, what's happening with you?
The same thing. Same thing, but I'm not bored.
But you're not bored. Right, okay.
No.
So you're feeling a little bit excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love Christmas.
Right. So what I want you to do is I want you to fast forward that, what you can see on the screen, to an exciting time, Kevin, something exciting that happened at Christmas. I just want you to fast forward the screen to something exciting that happened at Christmas and what happened.
I don't remember.
Don't remember. Right, okay. So on Christmas morning when you woke up, I want you to actually take yourself to Christmas morning where you woke up. And you were getting ready to wake the kids up. Remember, you're watching this on the screen, right? So walk me through the process. What's on the screen? What do you see? What are you doing to get yourself prepared for the girls waking up to come downstairs for Christmas?
I'm being woken up by my wife saying, the kids are up, quick or you're going to miss it.
Right, okay. So wake up quick or you're going to miss it. But you're playing this on the screen, right? Mm-hmm. You know what Christmas means to kids, don't you, Kevin? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I want you to do now, just in that moment, is your wife has woke you up saying that the kids are getting ready to go downstairs. I actually want you to jump into the screen. And I want you to hear and feel and sense what happens in that moment when you're wakening your girls to get them prepared to go downstairs for Christmas. What does it feel like?
They're already awake.
They're
saying,
already
"Come on, Dad."
awake. Right, okay. They're saying, come on, Dad. So they're getting super excited. You're running. What's happening? Explain to me what's happening.
Gone down the stairs, and then I'm going to pretend to them that Santa's not been, but they're too wise. They're like, "Dad, you do this every year."
Yeah.
He has been.
How do you think that they're feeling?
Excited. And
Right.
bursting.
How do you? They're bursting. They're absolutely bursting with excitement. And as a parent, what does that do for you? Making you feel or sense how excited your kids are about Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes you burst with joy.
It makes you burst with joy. And I just want you to stick in that moment for just a second and then ignore the rest of the conversation. Jay Mack. So you've been at the table and you're sitting and you're super excited. Explain to me what happens next.
It's just mundane chat between a big number of family members, and some laughs, some games.
Okay. And I want you to fast forward that scene to a moment or time where something really exciting is happening. What's happening?
You
can share or don't share. It's up to you. Do you want to share?
That was probably the first time me and Kev did something live.
Okay.
On stage.
And that was on Christmas.
Oh no, is it still be at Christmas?
Yeah.
Same time as Kevin then. It's going downstairs in the morning to see my sons opening up the presents.
See your son's opening up the presents. Now you're still watching this on the screen, right?
Yeah.
And you can either choose to fast forward or rewind that. Do you want to fast forward, rewind, or do you want to pause?
Pause.
You want to pause, right? What I want you to do when you pause, you're pausing at that moment that your kids are coming down the stairs and they're ready to open up their present. But what I want you to do is I want you to jump into the screen at the moment that your kids are actually coming down the stairs and ready to open their presents. Then I want you to unpause that. And I want you to see it through your eyes, hear it through your ears, and feel what it feels like to be back in that moment again, and feel what it feels like for the absolute joy that you're bringing to your kids on Christmas. So unpause and step into that feeling.
Okay.
And what does that feel like?
It's sweet. It's nice.
It's sweet and nice. I want you to make that feeling bigger. And I want you to place that feeling somewhere in your body. Kevin, you too. The smile on your girl's face, the absolute joy. And I want you to place that feeling that you're getting somewhere in your body. And I want you to make it bigger. And I want you to make it brighter. And I want you to give it a colour and a shape. And I want you to place it somewhere on your body. If you had to place it somewhere, where would you place it?
It's on my knee.
I want you to touch it. Kevin, you.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you place that feeling?
On my heart.
Right. I want you to touch that. And I just want you to keep remembering that memory. And I want you to keep feeling it. I want you to keep sensing it. And I want you to keep touching that certain point in your body. And I want you to make the feeling bigger. I want you to make the feeling brighter. What colour would you give that feeling, Jay Mack?
Blue, like Tesseract blue.
Blue. Okay, Kevin, what colour?
Bright yellow.
What shape?
It's a heart.
Okay, what shape, Jay Mack?
It's a 3-dimensional star.
Right. Every time I want you to think about that feeling and feel the feeling, think of the colour and think of the shape. And I want you to continuously touch that point in your body. And I want you to do that continuously. Just tap, 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 tap. And I hope you're tapping your heart and I hope you're tapping your knee. And you're thinking of your colours and you're thinking of your shapes. Right. And then I just want you to stop and then just come back.
Like open my eyes, come back.
Yes, open your eyes, Kevin, and come back, right? So really all you've done is you've attached and you've detached. Now, what you've done there is I've got you to attach to something that was a good memory. I've given you a colour. You've given it a shape. I've got you to touch a certain part of your body. So the next time that you think of that colour, shape, and you touch that part of your body, it'll take you directly back to that memory. Right? So that's an attachment. That's you attached to that memory and that feeling. And when you continuously do that, that will just automatically take you back. That's a memory that you've imprinted into your body. When you're detaching, you can choose whether you sit in that room and you fast forward, you pause, you rewind. You could make that picture move further away. You could give it a shape. You could blow it away as if it's dust, and that's you letting that go. So that's you starting to detach from all of that stuff as well. So that's just one of the methods that you can do to attach and detach to some of the things.
That makes a lot of sense, to be honest, when you think about it. Like the way I kind of looked at that when I was a kid, right, is see anything I didn't like. Sometimes I just imagined putting it in a wee envelope and just like blowing it away because it was light.
So you were doing it naturally.
That's how I would visualize it. But then again, it still sting. But you know, kind of what you're saying there. We chatted about this the other day. When you smell a specific smell, for me, it's the oranges, right? When you hear a different song, these are things I suppose that attached to things that make you feel a certain way, negatively or what's the song? There's certain films. I know it's been done many times where they hear a song and they're like, no, that's for that night where all my pals were killed, and then they like proper start shitting it because that song was playing. Right? What movie am I thinking about, J Mac?
One Missed Call. I don't know.
Probably something like that. We've got a couple. Matthew says DC EastEnders theme song playing at the end of the viewing. Right. So for him, that's special because he grew up with his granny. Wolfman's got nards. Nice to meet you. Says I did this along with you. I don't think I can detach now. Haha.
Well, buy the book and learn.
It's all in here. Amazon.
Yeah. So, but that's a way for you to do it. And it's weird because the way that the mind-body connection works, and Kevin, we were speaking about this the other day, and you can share the same analogy that you shared. It was about the plants. So explain, if you can explain as well what you explained to me, how even...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for your DNA, because we were talking about us coming back in and having soul contracts and deciding who our parents is, and we were talking about how your DNA remembers. You have these particular imprints, and they remember until they're let go of. So when we're talking about healing, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about getting rid of some of these codes or some things that have imprinted and had a negative effect on you, so that you can grow and you can develop. So how do plants remember, and how do they grow and protect themselves?
So when I was watching a documentary, the ones that my wife were like, "Oh, you're not watching that shit again, eh?" I'm like, "Aye," right? And it was David Attenborough, and he's like, "Can you see these plants?" Right? So over hundreds of years, I know it's like the natural selection process or whatever, right? Over a space of like 100 years, these plants grow in the same area. The bugs come, they eat them. The plant dies, the bug goes away. The plant regrows, it comes. Eventually, what happens is the plant's like, "Oh, I'm fucking done with this shit," right? And starts growing thorns, whereas they never did before. So the bugs try to get up now, can't get past the thorns. They're getting stuck on the thorns, or at least the thorns like deter them. So eventually these plants stop getting eaten by these animals, and these animals have to now these insects have to find other plants to eat because they're like, nah, it's no mess with them anymore. But that's over a course of like a very long time. So your DNA absolutely remembers, even if you as a singular being, part of a bigger, what do they call it? What's the name of that thing where it's a mind flare type? What is it? No, mind flare. A brain that basically connects to everything.
A hive brain.
Hive mind. That's it. So it's like a hive mind essentially. You know. And my sister comes in here, says the smell of bananas from Granny Janet. We had a granny and we had, and she the smell of bananas always reminded us of the house. What's interesting here is my wife just has done this along with us and says our shape and color were the same. So she also got a yellow heart. How interesting is that? Hey.
See how you're connected?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know why a heart, because yellow's a color I really am not a big fan of. So why wouldn't I have chosen yellow if it was a choice? So it's interesting that was the way of it. So that was what you just showed us there was a attach and detach type of method. Yeah.
An attach and detach type of method. But this is a thing as well, right? So the whole point of the mind-body connection is that our thoughts determine our behavior and our actions, right? And when we get into that negative loop, that constantly, that impacts the body to such an extent that you're either going to be operating on flight or fight. So you'll be operating on cortisol levels, high cortisol levels all of the time. Your body never forgets, right? And when I speak to people and I speak about healing, that seems to be a trigger word for a lot of people. And I explained this to you the other time as well, right? All healing is you're growing, you're adapting. And like what you said, it's not an easy process and it's not something that happens instantaneously. But what happens is when you start to work on your mindset and you start to work on detaching on some of this thing and letting go of all the baggage that doesn't belong to you, over time, the things that would trigger you normally, they don't trigger you so much. It's the same when you're trying to achieve something in life, you're trying to achieve a goal. You're moving from A to B. You recognize there's something that you want or you need, and then you set a plan so that you can get to it. You move from A to B, you've healed, you've grown. So it's the same thing. Healing and growth is the same thing. Yeah. So for me, the book, when I started drafting all of this, I thought that I'd done a lot of the inner work. I thought that I had got rid of a lot of the stuff that was holding me back and holding me down. What I didn't want for me was I didn't want my environment shaping me and allowing it to become the person that I was never meant to be. So I used what happened in my environment to move me away from that and move me towards my true self. Part of writing the book allowed me to share my story, my interpretation of how life events impacted and affected me. And then obviously shared some insights on how you can use that as a way to bring around about positive and lasting change. But as I said, it is a process and it's a journey. It's not a destination. But yeah, so it's been interesting. And even today I've started to narrate the book and I wanted to narrate it myself because it's my story and I don't think anyone else would be able to engage with it at the same level that I would. So that's why I wanted to do it. And then today, like chapters 1 through 7, that was me. I was away crying again. So So as much as it has helped me, there's still levels. There's still levels that you need to go deeper into.
So for you as well, it's like, so you're connecting with that journey every time you kind of pick up that book again. And I remember you said to me that even just writing the book was like that for you. So even reading the book and then narrating the book kind of holds that for you. So the aim, I think, one of your reasons for putting that out there is so that other people might resonate with it and look to heal themselves. You've got a bigger plan for everything that you're doing. Because the first thing that anybody says, see, whenever you say, oh yeah, I've met someone and they can either, like my friend Lee, I say, hey, you need to speak to her. She's a phenomenal spiritualist. Or you say anything that's the words holistic, soulful, anything like that, people go, oh, aye. And then they start hitting you with, I knew a guy and he did it. And they're reading you, mate. They're cold reading you and all that kind of stuff. So for me, like, I find that there's still quite a wall of so many people that won't like open their mind a wee bit to just kind of spend some time with people like yourself. I think the best way I always say is you've got to go there and speak to you, be part of what it is you do.
So it's shadow work, right? So what happens is when anybody shines a light, what they do is they shine a light on what it is within you that's maybe potentially require healing. And I'd seen something today and I'd written it down, and it says that people do not need saved or rescued. People need knowledge of their own power and how to access it. And that's what holistic healing is. All we're doing is giving you opportunities and different perspectives to allow you to go on your journey so that you can step into your own divine power. That's all that we're doing. That's all that holistic healing is.
Because we've definitely forgot a lot more than we've ever learned in the last how many thousands of years.
So this is interesting as well, because another modality so everything that helped me on my journey, I then went and got certified in. So I speak, the book is on trauma, right? So it's on the effects of generational trauma and how that affects people if it's left unrecognized or unhealed, because unconsciously, we don't know that we've become a product of our environment. So we then carry that through onto the next generation, and we carry that through into relationships or jobs that we pick. Some of the things that I talk about on here, and it is a very personal and honest account, is how through grief and my papa or my grandfather's unconscious ability to recognize how grief was driving his interactions, how that rippled through the family, and that caused a lot of addictions. There was abuse, there was physical abuse, mental abuse. There was a lot of that, all of that stuff shared within the stories. And I think the driving question for me is, why am I different? Not in the egotistical sense, but how have I managed to not fall into that same trap? And if I can do it, anybody can do it. But when you start to look at trauma, again, and trauma is another trigger word for people, trauma can be something like, as you as a child, you fell from a tree, right? And then you've broken a rib, an arm, a leg, or whatever. You then went to hospital, and that's had a negative impact in your life. So then what happens as a parent, you won't let your kids go out and climb a tree because you don't want them to fall and hurt. So when I'm talking about trauma, it doesn't have to be something that's really, really bad. It's about just being conscious about your own beliefs and how they're actually imprinting onto other people.
I've got a really... Sorry, I was just going to say, I've got a really good question here from Kirsty Forrest. She says, do you have experience with plant medicines connecting with Mother Nature, like cacao? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Do you see that, Jay Mack? Like cacao or wait a minute.
What you guys are doing, you can come along to Kaylee's cacao ceremony when we open up Life Force Energies, and you can get to experience a cacao ceremony. So Kirsty, yes, I have. I've tried cacao. I've not tried Campbell, but I have partnered up with Kaylee Scott, and she's a Campbell practitioner. Tree hugging. I spoke to Kevin about this. Yeah.
She says, leave your ego at the door. Get up to a fucking tree and hug the shit out of it. I was like, here. I said, in my head, I was like, if you think that me hugging a tree, like, I don't mind. I will hug a tree and no give a shit what anybody thinks about it. Like, right. I'm
so
such...
It's not even hugging it, right? It's about being conscious. And when you're touching it, it's feeling it. And when I'm going up and I'm hugging my tree or I'm touching my tree, I'm just being grateful. I'm being grateful for its grandeur, its beauty, its ability to transform, its ability to transmute negative energy. I'm grateful for the air that I breathe. And I swear, like, every experience is personal to the individual, but you will feel certain sensations within your body. Like my heart's exploded, my Kundalini's activated. While I've been doing it, I can feel heat go from one hand to another. I see colors. It's amazing. And that's without having to use anything like Cambo or ayahuasca. And I do know a couple of people, Kirsty, that have done that. I can't compare it because mine has never been induced. The experience that I had, that was natural. And I think there's a stat that says that we only ever really get to see about 0.36% of what's available.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this is different levels of consciousness. This is where chat start to get really, really interesting. Because all that happens in your DMT trip, whether it's induced or not, and by the way, if it is going to be induced, make sure that you're going to someone that is fully qualified and able to support you on your journey. So really research whatever it is that you're doing. For me, it was more natural. All I was doing is I was consciously aware when I was in my dream state. So I was consciously traveling. I was conscious that I was not in human form. There was an experience that happened with me as well, and I spoke to Lee about this. And literally, I was aware that my soul was leaving my body while I was sleeping. And in one of my dreams, there was this. I thought it was me, but it was a horrible thing, so it couldn't have been me. Well, I don't think it was me. But this thing detached from me and literally climbed up the wall and looked back at me. And when I explained and shared that with Lee, she says that was an entity. And what happens is that when you're actually on a healing journey, because your consciousness is raising, these things can't stay attached to you any longer. So they need to leave your body. So I got signs, I got symbols, I got messages. There's still stuff that I need to put into place. And what happened is that the next day, my body wasn't able to integrate everything that I had seen, right? So what happens is we only ever get to see 0.36 of what we can see, because otherwise our bodies and brains can't cope with it. And it does
It's like
put
your
us
nose.
into psychosis.
Hey, it just blocks out your nose.
Yeah. So I was able to see more. I was consciously seeing more and traveling realms. And when I was coming back into my body, that all had to integrate, which meant I had major ringing in both my ears. My head felt like a lead balloon. And then I was sick for 2 to 5 hours about every single day. And that was for about 13 weeks. It was quite an experience.
It's a price to pay. Eh? Kirsty says, love a tree. My favourite is the mossy ones. Everyone is different. Love all my tree grandfathers. I need to have a longer conversation with Kirsty, because we never talk about this kind of stuff. And that's the type of stuff that I love to talk about.
Yeah, I'd heard that even walking barefoot in the grass is supposed to be really good for you. And I tried it, but I tried it in my garden, and it's not the same. I think you probably need to do it in like a...
That's because you've got that fake AstroTurf shit.
I've got that out of the back. I've not got that out of the front. But
same.
But I think, I think probably need to do it in like a really, like a natural setting, more like a field or something like that.
Any natural grass, it's the same benefits, the absolute same benefits. But you need to sit there. It's not, we don't have the blessing of being blessed with good weather. But yeah, probably for around about 20 to 30 minutes every day. And it just allows the electromagnetic pulses to go through and penetrate. And if you have a dog, a cat, they do it for you. So even just clapping them when they've been outside, you'll be able to get some of the healing through them as well.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So you've got that, but definitely.
Kirsty says, would you describe it as a shamanic healing journey?
Shaman. I know what you mean.
Did you feel scared that your soul wouldn't re-enter your body?
I think for me, I wasn't even aware of what was going on or what was happening. So no, there was no fear. I think the only fear that I felt is that everything was happening at such a pace. Like there was times when I was leaving my body, it felt like I was being pulled through a vacuum. So it felt like I was being sucked out my body, like sucked up levels. That's what it felt like to me. But no, I never felt that. And interestingly, Kirsty, I had a conversation with a shaman, because I do know that there is a potential where when the soul leaves the body, there are other souls that are waiting to have a human experience. So you do have the potential for something else to attach to you. But if you are actually doing a lot of the healing work, and you are going out your grounding, and you're sending things back into universal mind for it to be cleared, then I don't think that that's ever anything to be scared of. I think what you need to have is to have people around about you that have experienced the same things, and they will be able to support you on your journey, whatever that journey looks like for you.
How easy is it to get in touch with, like you said, a shaman, for example? Because it's not something that, like, I've never met one in day-to-day life. I'm assuming you need to kind of seek them out.
800 shaman.
No, there are actually there's lots of Facebook groups that you'll be able to get access to a lot of people who are shamans here. But you be careful. You do really want to research things. And if you are part of a spiritual community, there will be people that will know people, but always do your own research and never jump right in either. Like, go meet with them, sit with them, have a cup of tea with them, and make sure that you've got that connection, and you've got that sense of trust that's there as well, because you are really trusting someone to help guide you and walk with you through whatever it is that your soul's ready to learn or let go of.
Could you imagine me as a shaman? It's like, right, Jay Mack, I'm going to walk you into the further. That's you now leaving your body. Watch this. Boom. That's you fucked, mate. That's you fucked. Slapping your body as it's asleep.
Never let Kevin do any work like that with you.
Can you imagine leaving you there in the further?
Yeah, you're a terrible human being. I was watching an episode of Derry Girls just before I came on here, and the four girls were sitting outside the headmistress office about to get a bollocking for something. And the wee blonde lassie, she's like, right, no matter what happens, we all stick together. And then it cuts inside the office. She's like, it was her. I was like, that's Kevin.
The thing I only do to pop a laugh, though. I do it to lighten the mood, believe it or not, is to bring the energy up so that we all have a good laugh. Just sometimes it's at James.
All have a good laugh. No, so you have a good laugh. See, it's even happening. Even thinking about the stuff that you plan to do to me in the future is making you piss yourself.
Nah,
he does it at other people's expenses. That's terrible. That's terrible. But yeah, do I know? I actually had a launch event last weekend, and or was it 2 weekends ago? Time's going so fast. But I did have a launch event because I've opened up a company in West Lothian. Me and Kaylee have joined forces, and we've opened up Life Force Energies, where we look to bring wellness and spirituality together. So it's like a wellness hub. Yeah. So they are obviously will have access to resources, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to take a holistic approach to everything. So we do work on mindset, but then we work on movement, we work on energy alchemy, we work on dance. So you'll have a whole host of access to different things. Lee's going to be coming in as a facilitator as well. So we're going to be doing lots of different things there. Now, when you had mentioned, Kevin, woo-woo, like a lot of people look at spirituality. Spirituality is not a religion. Spirituality is just your experience of your life and what it means to you. That's all that it is. Now, I shared a clip of Billy Connolly talking about a mood ring, and what he was talking about there is like going into one of these stores, and they're all like throwing it like essential oils all over them, and he was talking about how it was a load of shite, and how he's what he does because somebody come up and says, look, do you practice the arts? And he's like, the arts, totally like slagging it off. And he's like, I'm a pool reader.
I remember
this. You know, he says when all the leaves and all that go into the pool, he says it's just a giant cup. He said, so I come and I read your pools. But what Billy Connolly is, laughter right? There's nothing more invigorating for the soul than laughter. That's energy alchemy in action. What you're doing is you're using something from within you to bring around joy and laughter and bring about a positive experience. When we're talking about working with energy and energy alchemy, that's what you're doing. So we're all spiritual. And even you doing that with J Mac and J Mac having a giggle at you, that's spirituality. That's spirituality in action.
The reason I know it's positive is because he laughs about it after the fact. We always laugh together about it.
A long time after. It takes me a lot of therapy and recovery to get through the shit you've done to me. The worst one, I think the worst one was still the hotel in Manchester. That was just devastating. But that's another story.
It wasn't that bad. He basically was slagging this place off on the way down to Manchester, right? We're doing a live, and he was like, oh, it's reading all the reviews, and the reviews were basically saying it was terrible. He was saying it was terrible. I says, hey, it's probably not going to be that bad. We got down there. J-Mac's signing us in now. We're here to attend the event, right? J-Mac's signing us, hi, Jibber Jabber Podcast, room, whatever. And as I see him talking to the manager, I'm like, oh, yeah, perfect. And I walk in and I say really loud, J-Mac, this isn't a shithole. This is actually it's not that bad. And at this point, J-Mac looks at me, turns around, and the guy's just like that. He's like, I didn't.
What was funny though is that when we got to our hotel room, you could tell that door had been kicked in at some point.
The place was a handle on it.
It was a proper shithole.
You open the window and it was just a wall. I remember. My bed was broken. Still excellent though. We took a negative and we totally turned it positive. And now when we, just like what you say, if I went there with my wife, that would have been like, we're not staying here. So the fact that we went there, right, and now our memories of that shithole are beautiful. Right?
I swear to God, somebody opened their bedroom door during the night, shined a torch in, and left.
I know. I thought I dreamt that. I fucking thought I dreamt that.
No.
That's so true. I thought it was just me. Oh no.
But you were sharing the same room.
There's all three of us.
Yeah.
There was 3 dudes, 2 beds. In fact, there was 2 single beds, 1 snapped, that was mine, and a big double bed. And J-Mac walked into the room and went, I'm the fat bastard, I get the double bed. And Seb and I were just like, should we fight for this or just let him have it?
I got it.
You got it, no fight. I was like, let him have it while I sleep on a snapped one. We've got another question here. Kirsty says, I started my journey 7 years ago at Lendrick Lodge with Dr. David Hamilton. How your mind can heal your body. Love meeting local, like-minded people. I'll bring Kevin along to one of your events.
Perfect.
Well, Kirsty, she lives very local. So, Lindsay, you where Kirsty goes to often, you live very local. So I'm sure you'll be meeting Kirsty very, very soon. She says, thanks for the laughter therapy, boys. Well, see, there's another thing. You're saying like laughter. And it's funny because one of the kids said to me the other day, we went camping and his mate came and he says, my friend was laughing, but not at our joke because we had a joke that wasn't that funny, but it was funny to us. He says, my friend was actually laughing, but he wasn't laughing at the joke. He was laughing at you laughing at the joke. So laughter is contagious.
It's contagious.
Yes,
I know.
absolutely.
But by the way, so is negativity. Yeah.
Because you can feel it.
Like you find even at work, you could be at work and everybody's having a good day, then one person comes in a bad mood and it just knackers the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does rub off.
So this is again, right? So going back to the book, this is when like you potentially can become a product of your environment, right? But we're not even conscious. We're not conscious that all of these things are actually having some sort of effect on us. So it's actually just about being conscious in your interactions and in your everyday life. And by the way, working with yourself. It's not about anybody else. It's about you. Your day starts and finishes with you. if you can just consciously show up, consciously be aware of how it is that you're imprinting on other people, how you're affecting other people. And even when I think about my son as well, somebody had mentioned to me about conscious parenting. And I'm like, it doesn't take much. I really just need to think about whatever it is that I'm bringing to my son. Is that what I would want his wife to be like? Is that how I want him to feel in a relationship? That allows you to start to think a little bit differently about how you're showing up as a parent. What was interesting as well, and I did say to you, Kevin, journaling, right? Like taking down your notes. Yeah, please. Everything that even we thought, it's like, start to assess it. Why am I thinking like that? Start to see the patterns that are showing up in your everyday life. Start to look at them through the lens. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it different? Is it something that I want to change? Something that I picked up on as well is that because of scarcity in my life, like I ended up getting into a job where I wanted to, I got an opportunity to prove myself. So I pushed myself into sales, bloody good salesperson. But again, all that was lack of self-worth. Whereas if I'd have known very young who I was, what it is that I can bring to the table, and I knew my values, I could start to really think about, in a sense of relationships, would I have made the same mistakes that I'd made previously if I'd really have known my self-worth, right? And if there's anything that we can teach our kids and being conscious of is knowing their values, knowing what their needs are, and are they being met? Are they being fulfilled? And see if they're not, and they're not being met or fulfilled by the people that are around about them. When you become of an age to do something with that, change it. Get out of Dodge. Get away from that. Surround yourself with people. We can eat as much good food as we want. We can exercise. We can do all this kind of stuff. But if we're not surrounding ourselves with people that help us grow, and that comes to relationships and workplaces as well, change it. Don't be scared to change.
Don't ever speak to my wife. I'm getting booted out.
Do you know, it's funny when you say that as parents, right? So anybody that knows me would expect me that if my daughters bring a boy to the house, would expect me to be like, not my house. But you know, to be honest, I've thought about it long and hard, and I've actually spoke to my girls, and they're still young, and I've spoke to them, and I'm always like, I'm instilling it very young. Like, what are good things that boys do? Well, they say nice things. They bring you flowers. And what are bad things? Or they shout, right? So they know the difference between what's good and what's bad. I always say, like, I never want my daughters to ever go, I can't talk to my dad about that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've always said as well that any guy that comes to the house will have already been vetted by them. And if they pass their test, then they'll be good. They're good with me. You know what I mean? They've already, I have I've got a lot of confidence that my girls will know a dafty from somebody that's worth spending time on. And here's another thing. I don't expect the first guy they ever meet to be their husband. They still have their own journeys. So why would I try to hinder that or be an enemy when I could actually support that, you know? And that's a lot for me, because I'm quite like, even when my daughter like speaks about a boy at class, and I'm like, oh, this Bjorn, point him at. I'm like, and what's he saying to you? He said I was a princess. I went, you live to fight another day, Bjorn. This day. But I'm watching. So it's a battle within myself, but I truly believe that that's the guy that I want to be.
I love the fact that you named him. There's probably one kid in West Lothian called Bjorn.
And he better be watching this, so he knows. Because I'm not playing. My wife says, he's 6. Old enough to know better.
He's scared off now.
Oh God.
But this is what I'm saying. You don't realize, and I think, like, being a product of your environment, we are here, and we do have our karmic lessons and stuff like that we need to go through. But for me, the influence that I wanted to have in writing the book was to help people recognize, because for a lot of the family, it was alcohol addiction or drug addiction. And that in the end is what got my brother. It was actually a heart attack that he died of. We thought it was initially a drug overdose, but it wasn't. But again, that was because he'd spent a lot of his life and he hadn't actually started to work through some of this stuff. And he started it, and he blamed himself, but then he got trapped and he was stuck. So he couldn't get out of that. So he became a product of his environment. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's really just about raising awareness and trying to help people to go through some of the belief systems that they've either been indoctrinated in through societal norms, cultural norms, and actually starting to let go of these things that don't belong to them so that they can start to get to know themselves. And again, it's quite a mind-opening and liberating journey as well. It's a bit of a scary journey because, like what you said as well, Jay Mack, sometimes when you start to know your self-worth and you know what it is that you're bringing to the table, you realise that there's a lot of the times that your needs aren't actually being met. Now, hopefully everybody's got a strong relationship with a good enough partner that does help them flourish and grow and embraces that and allows them to embody that and be the best version of themselves. But there's a lot of people who don't. And when they do start to step into their power, things naturally start to change around about you. And it is a bit scary to begin with. But when you're connected and you're working with your higher self and you're connected to your heart, the transformation that occurs is so empowering and liberating. It's absolutely worth the journey. So I hope that the book actually helps people to identify with a lot of things, and it gives them access to some information and some of the tools and strategies that I've used to help me get to where I've got to as well.
Yeah,
it's been really good allowing, like I say, because of we call it woo-woo, the wall essentially. It's good because I can't talk about you to anybody without already being met with one of them, right? But when they hear you talk, like I can't do you justice. Do you know what I mean? Like only you can really do that. I can only just say, it passes the sniff test for me. Because Jay Mack, how many guests we had on this show that we thought they were what they said they were, and they did not pass the sniff test?
Oh, it's countless at this point. I mean, there's one in particular that sticks in my mind, but I've spoken about him many a time on the podcast since. I'm not going to speak about him again. Fucking waste of breath. But it is quite a barrier to try and get over, though. Like when you've been brought up in a certain way, especially like if you were brought up in religion. Actually, that's something I was going to ask you. Were you ever religious? Did you have to break any kind of barrier to start looking into this sort of thing?
So I struggled with religion. However, right, it's quite unusual because I went to Sunday school, and the only reason I went to Sunday school is because you got a sweetie at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I used to get the refreshers or the whoppers. What age are you guys? So I'm 40. I'm 45. So you are what?
I'm nearly 40.
Right. Well, you might remember them. So you used to get like whoppers and refreshers and all the rest.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So I did. I sat through the whole Sunday school. One, I liked the singing. Right. I actually did stand at the corners and sing, but it was just the music. I never really took away much of the religion. And then my uncle and my auntie, my uncle used to take me to chapel, 6 o'clock in the morning mass, whenever I was with him. And then I ended up getting like a wart on my big toe. And I thought that's because I went to the chapel. Right? But I'd been exposed to religion, but not really believed in anything. But then as well, right, because of what it was like with my life growing up, I questioned everything to do with God. Because I'm going, how if there's a God, how if there's a God, is there so much bad and wrong that goes on in the world? And I think I've been consciously awake for a very, very young age. So I challenged a lot of the norms. And in fact, I rebelled probably against everything that I could possibly rebel against. So I struggled even. Now I'm studying metaphysics. I'm studying for a doctorate in metaphysics, but so I'm challenging the whole reality thing, the whole existence thing. And
oh, is that all?
I'm challenging everything. Yeah,
God.
all right. So for me, and some of the text, it does talk about God and source. And I even struggle with that. So even when I'm saying it, I struggle. But with universal mind, I go, right, okay. Because for me, my understanding is that we're energy. We're all just energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all just a living expression of the same consciousness. We're just
Mm-hmm.
having different experiences. So, no, to answer your question, no, I've not had to. I've always challenged it. But do you want to know, though? I would never ignore it, because see, within everything, there is elements of truth.
Yeah.
And there's so many similarities in all of these different religions, that within there is there is a truth. But again, how much access have we got to the real truth? Because everything's about power struggles. And how do you control people? You divide and conquer. How can you divide and conquer? You indoctrinate them into certain belief systems.
Yeah.
So when you look at spirituality is about your experience. And by the way, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but it's not about being indoctrinated into certain different things because they see it as a certain way.
Yeah.
I think like they've done a really good job. I say they, like the elite, or the system that choose, like the music that's created now is in a frequency that isn't.
Yes.
Like it used to be that music was in a frequency that was good for you, and they've
Yeah.
changed it so that it's not. Like
Yeah.
whoever at the top sitting there at the table, with a wee truck outside that says free sweets here, and they're sitting in the room with a wee table giving it, what should we do now to control the world? Yeah, let's change the frequency of music. They must know some shit.
It's a guy. It's a guy like you going, here. Can it be funny?
What? Jess, watch. Can you imagine?
By the way, even when you think about yourself and you think about yourself by way of frequency, you can decide what frequency you want to connect into. So during the day when you wake up, there's something that happens, you get pissed off for whatever reason. You can decide to stay in that frequency and be pissed off, or you can just change it. It's as simple as that. And I see if you can change your mind, you can achieve anything.
I have found, like, probably more recently, that I've got the ability to do that. Like, just if I start my day bad, I'm just gonna. I don't want to spend my whole day in a bad mood. So just park it there, and change frequency, like you said.
That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. But by the way, sound and sound healing. Have you ever been to a sound bath?
No, I barely ever go to a normal bath.
Right, okay. So sound bath, they all come in at different frequency. So you get singing bowls, you get Tibetan bowls, you get crystal bowls. And Kaylee, Kevin, who you met, she's actually going to wait to get certified in sound healing. And again, what happens is when you're talking about DNA, there you go, that's your sleeping bliss. Thanks, Kirsty. When you're thinking about your DNA and how your DNA remembers, when you listen to certain frequencies, that frequency vibrates through your system and it actually starts to heal parts of your body. If there was something that my husband had watched and it was something to do with all the bells, and I think the horses and stuff like that started going crazy, but they've taken away all the bells now, because the bells, again, were that was a lot to do with frequency and the ability to heal too. But when you listen to some music, it has the ability to either trigger you and make you really pissed off, or it has the ability to make you sad, but it has the ability to make you happy, and it is all just frequency.
Mad when
but you can use it. You can use certain hairs to actually do different things. Open up pineal gland, activate third eye, open up the heart chakra. And when you're coming into that, there's certain sounds that you can use through your mouth that you can use to activate some of your chakra when you go into chakra medicine, and it can start to work its way through the body, so it can open and cleanse the chakra system. And then that goes into Kundalini and Kundalini activation, which is a whole different conversation.
Here's the devil's advocate question: Is there scientific evidence to back up the whole thing about frequencies and their powers of healing?
Yeah, it's Google it. It's all there. Everything that's coming out now about neuroscience, it's all connected. But again, they're only giving you small snippets of what's actually available.
Right.
Everything.
I believe that.
You will see now, right? There has been a switch. So there's certain things that are now even showing up in commercials that's talking about being connected to the heart. So they're starting now to use certain elements of spirituality to reprogram you, but they're only giving you access to limited information. But it is starting to happen. Now, it's funny when you were talking about, and I don't know if I should share that. I'm going to share it, right? Coronation Street. How many people watches Coronation Street?
Not anymore.
But yeah, I've made the theme tune stirs something up.
Yeah, right, okay. No, but it's not even talking about frequency, right? But what I'm talking about is indoctrinating. So for me, what they're doing now is that there's certain things that they're sharing in Coronation Street, and it was a friend that had explained to me where they're trying to say that there's certain people that are being indoctrinated, and they're getting into these kind of cults, and what these people do, they claim to be spiritual, but all they're doing is they're taking out all your money and all the rest of it, and they're getting these programs to help you on your mind. Right.
I heard about it because the guy that's playing Kevin Webster left because of that. He's just walked out his job because he's dead against the plot line, I think.
Plot line. But what the plot line is to keep everybody down. So what they'll do to get to the masses is that they will portray spirituality in such a way that it programs people to be against it rather than move towards it. But there's lots of things that are coming out now on neuroscience and the mind-body connection, and it's starting to spoon feed all of these little things into people. For me, it should just be an explosion and let everybody go and have the experiences and see if you like it and you feel it and it does something good to you. Get more involved. See if you don't like it. You've tried it. You don't need to go back and try it again. Come to a cacao ceremony. Feel into it. Feel into the community and the experience that you have. Come into a sisterhood circle. Feel this connection in the community that you get. Come to meditation. Feel how much it balances you, centers you. That gets you into such a place of calm and just connects you with yourself. You almost feel unstoppable. So when you're going out into your day, and if you've sat in mindful practices and you are mindful and you are consciously aware of how things can affect you, the difference that makes in just how you show up is worth the experience. So for me, people can talk and talk and talk and talk, and they can say don't do it, and they can say do it. See, at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you, but you can't knock anything. So anybody who's against anything, yeah, that's based on some other belief system that you've got for somebody else. You've not tried it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Try it. Try the hat on, see if it fits, and if it fits, enjoy it. If it doesn't, take it off.
I totally agree. I try mostly anything once, but there's always such a, even when you spend time with someone like yourself, so even being in your area, I'm like, this just feels, you can tell that what you do is all over where you are, because when you come in there, you can feel it. And you can feel that as well when you walk into a room and somebody's had an argument. You walk in and you're like, oh, what's that? Usually I'm like, right, what happened here? Who done what?
That's you just picking your next victim, right? Who am I going to say is right?
But I always use humor, and I've always wondered to myself, like, I laugh constantly during the day. I'm always cracking jokes, and I genuinely believe it's that. It's my way of, and it might even be selfish. I'm trying to entertain me as well as everybody else. You know what I mean? So I do look for everybody to laugh with me, and when they don't, I'm like, okay. But I always try to keep that energy because it's fun. And life shouldn't be black and white.
Your laugh definitely is contagious because it takes the cunt ages to stop.
If you're
sorry,
really
sorry. I had to throw in that terrible old joke, but
You're lost now. Eh? The joke's all you had. You're lost now.
No, I'm not lost at all. See, there's the bus again. But no, I find it. I do find this interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'll meet you face to face at some point as well, and we can.
She's not far.
Have some conversations. It's me that's far. She's not far for you.
No, she's right next to all your family. He's out in Glasgow.
Yeah, so next time you're through from Christmas dinner.
I'm just snipping out for a wee while. Oh, you fuck. Get back to your tea.
Usual. I would definitely say to everybody you can find all the information on your website, and you can also follow here on, was it With Love? Well,
With Love, Lindsay Paton. I know I've confused my socials because I've done too many things. And so I've just set that one up. So that one, I wanted to keep my personal and my business one separate. So on there, all the activities, what I have been doing is I've been doing like chakra cleansing and balancing, and I've kind of been getting out and about and going to different places and doing it. But Kaylee and I have our grand opening of our wellness, our Spirituality Meets Wellness Centre, our hub, on the 10th of October. So that is going to be in Blackburn House in Seafield in the West Pavilion. So J Mack, you're more than welcome. You can come along and you can feel what that's going to bring around as well. So please come along. It's from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock on the 10th. But all of the modalities that we offer access to, they are on Life Force Energies. Now, what I've tried to do, I want to give everyone access and I want to make it affordable. So there's different modalities that we offer, and there are a few facilitators that offer different things. So I go in through holosomatic therapy. That is available. That'll be available from the end of October. So that's where we work on clearing out the chakra systems. We work on working with your energy. You're getting to connect with your energy. There is emotional release techniques that will be in there. There'll be tantric massage, tantric breathing and breath work. So lots of energy work, and then Kundalini activation. So that's kind of the Kundalini being activated and you working with your energy to reach enlightenment. I also offer quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is past life regression. So some of these, you're going to do it, Kevin, and I think we should do a podcast on that, so that you can get to experience that.
I'll do it. That sounds
and you do it as
interesting.
well. Good. So there's something that's really magical that's in that, because what happens is you'll have a lot of people that will come along and they'll do breath work, meditation, chakra, and as they start to go into all of these modalities, there might be some like sore throats that come up, or you feel a cold or headaches. All that's happening there, it's called the healing crisis, right? So when we get your body out of cortisol state, out of flight or fight, when we get that into such a relaxed state, your body gets to heal itself, right? So unless you are continuously exposing yourself to complete relaxation, your body's always in flight or fight mode. Now, what normally happens, and you can ask your parents when they retire, when they stop work, they've been doing their 9 to 5s for so long. Think of all the stress that's getting stuck in the body. They've not done anything to actively get it out of the body, so it gets stuck there. That's why they become unwell. So when you start to go into some of these spiritual healing things, like dance, like movement, like sound healing, like chakra meditation, you're allowing your mind and body the opportunity to just relax and start to shift some of the shit that you've given it all of your life. So you just allow it to get into its natural state. So we've got past life regression, we've got Kundalini activation, we've got tantric, we've got mindset classes. I do programs and events, and they'll be like 8-week programs where you do a lot of deep healing stuff. We have ceremonies at the end of that. Some of them will be shamanic, some of them won't. We'll get you to connect with all the elements. So we bring in earth, air, ether, fire. So you'll experience all different things. Really, really quite magical. So I offer access to a suite of different things. Kaylee, she does our ceremonies. She's going to be doing our sound healing. She's also a trauma-informed therapist. Lee, for me, who is a medium and a spiritualist. However, for me, she allows people, she's more like a grief counselor. She's more like a grief support worker, because she allows you to connect and close some of these things that go through your body. So working with grief, and allowing you to get that closure and connection that you need so that you can maybe move on. So there is an element, Lee, for me, being a trauma coach as well. And then we've got a lady called Kelly. She will be offering out aromatherapy, essential oil, Indian head. She does Reiki training and stuff like that as well. So together as a force, we have like just something really mystical and magical to offer people. And we cover off. We cover off and everything. So we can do tailored programs, we do classes, and we'll do memberships as well. And memberships will be bite-size access. But anything that we're doing, it's not just focusing on physical stuff. It's not focusing on nutritional stuff. It's considering the mind, body, and spirit. So we're working to close the gap. So it's a holy trinity of the human experience that we're looking to raise up, light up.
Well, Slothian's not going to know what hit it. Kirsty says, we are beings of light and love. Thank you for being you.
Also, you're welcome. Oh, you're not talking to me.
Disease.
No, we are. We all are. But what that's all disease is. Disease is a dis-ease in the body, right? But what you're doing is you're working with discomforts. So now what happens, and this is a mind-body connection bit. So grief gets stored in my body, and it gets stored in my body and turned into pneumonia. When grief is stored in the body, the place that it attacks is the lungs. So it'll get through the lungs and the kidneys. So when people come to me for quantum healing hypnosis technique, when they come to me and they come with discomforts, we're able to identify the source of that. And within sessions, people can relieve or recover from these discomforts before they get to diseases and get them trapped, and then they're completely trapped in the body. So that's a bit there that's on disease. Oh, that's all it is. It's a dis-ease that's in the body.
I never noticed that word when you split it in two.
See, if you look at a lot of words, I mean, a lot of words we've just been using, not really understanding them. There was quite a lot that I looked into. One was something like morning. When you wake up, you're mourning the fact that you've let go of. You've come away from something.
You just wake up, you're like, fuck's sake, again.
Who actually loves waking up in the morning? Like, it's great to be alive, but when you wake up, I'm like, oh man, my back.
I do.
Oh, what time's it? Well,
you really need to get you get involved in some of your activities.
Hey,
what's going on? You're so young for that.
By the way, see, once you open this place, I'm going to be kicking about with a robe and a big fuck off beard, right? And you'll see me not only hugging trees.
This is the programming. This is a programming. It's nothing about robes and beards.
Don't break the illusion for me. This is my dreams.
No, also, Kev, Kev will be a shaman by November.
I'll tell you something. You'll glow. You just see when you find you find that diamond in the rough. That's you. You're unstoppable. And when you're talking about energy and feeling energy, that's what you feel and that's what you can sense. Because you know that somebody has just found them. And that's all that Life Force Energies is trying to do, is to get you to get up and glow. To get up and glow. That's it. See as well, right? And see, when I'm like going back to the book, as much as there's people that can read the book and they can gather different perceptions from it. For me, it's about sharing information and knowledge about my own experience. But something that we must never do either is forget that, see, whilst we have these traumatic effects that have potentially been handed down through the generations, you've also had ancestral strengths that you've been able to gather from all of your experiences as well. So, on the day that my mum died, and is it all right if I read this out?
Of course, absolutely.
This is one of the things, right? So I said, look, Mum, I thought I had learned enough in life, enough of everything that gave me the knowledge and experience to help people heal completely. Everyone knew you didn't have it easy. They knew the suffering you endured the most of your life. It was not in vain. Absolutely everything I am because of you. Like the master and the apprentice, you taught me everything I know. Through pain, I learned strength. Through fear, I learned courage. Through faint heart, I learned to never give up. Through failings, I learned strategy. Through lack, I learned gratitude. Through dysfunctional relationships, I learned what great relationships are. Through forsake, I learned to embrace. Through doubt, I learned hope and bravery. You see, you always thought that the experiences were for nothing, when in fact, everything I ever learned and achieved is all because of you. I wouldn't be who I am if it were not for you. It wasn't for nothing. You gave me everything. And there I was thinking I had learned it all, but you saved the best for last, didn't you? I didn't ever think I could ever feel how I feel now, broken. This makes all the other lessons seem so menial. I can't even catch my breath. Mum, I know you are still there. Thank you for guiding me. You were always my true north. You shined for me then, and you're shining brighter for me now. The best is yet to come. With love, Lindsay. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. So, as much as what and this is what I'm saying to you, you look for the lessons in everything, because you have duality in each side of the coin. You have both the positive and you have the negative. So when you're actually you're ready to go on that journey, you're not just looking for the darkness. You're looking to shine light in the dark, and you're looking to bring dark to light, or you're looking to grow in the positive, and then you're looking to get rid of the negative. But the two of them, without the two of them existing, nothing would exist. So you've got to have an appreciation and a gratitude for everything. And that's why I suggest that if you are going on that journey, whatever you're doing, and even in daily life, look for the lessons in absolutely everything. Get rid of the judgment, get rid of that completely, and just look for whatever anything is trying to teach you and take the best bits away.
Damn right.
Good lesson.
Yeah. They don't teach us stuff at school, and they should.
Well, that's why I want to have Big Mama's house. That's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me as well, you have a lot of people, and that's why a lot of this stuff's been hidden, because they don't want you to be able to heal yourself. They don't want you to I mean, there's people. Was it you I was speaking to, Kevin? I can't remember, but there was a doctor that was on TV, and he was talking about somebody being on antidepressants for 20 years.
Yeah.
Who was it, you?
Yeah, and I said to you, it's Gary Brecker. He said it. He says, "When did you think they were going to start working?" Yeah.
Now there is a place for stuff. There is a place for, obviously, like medical intervention and all the rest of it. But it doesn't stop you for actually just looking after yourself either. And the same, like even when you think about prison systems, each of these places, they're all economies in their own, right? So they need people on drugs, they need people breaking the law, they need people being on meds, they need all of that, because without that, again, it's a control mechanism. So for me, if you want to look at anything that we're doing, you can look at it as complementary. So, and it might be that it might start to help you have different realizations or a different level of consciousness about what's actually working for you and what's not. But everything, as I said, starts and ends with you. And you put yourself first, and you start to work on all the stuff that's on the inside, the outside will take care of itself.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to the past life regression. My friend Todd had it done before. He actually mentioned to me, like before we'd even met, that it was something that he was like, "What?" He was like, "It actually, like, it was real," and that's why he's like, Todd always loves to be like, he likes to explain away a lot of things, but he's like, But the past life regression, I'll give them that. They win this time. You know what I mean? Janice says they're vampires. They feed off our fear, etc. Oh, I've heard that theory that there are, like, if we're in the Matrix, the negative energy is feeding something deeper and darker. You know.
Yeah, it does.
And that's probably what we see. But I'm not going to keep you here any longer. I know you're probably like ready to start your Monday. We are going to have you back on the show because we're going to do the past life regression, and then we're going to dedicate an episode to that. And you know what? You'll be seeing much more. Everybody will be seeing much more of Lindsay. She's going to be on social media. She's going to be in every clip that you see. All the work that she's doing is, I mean, you can just tell. I can tell. Sometimes you just get a feeling. The work that you're going to be doing is going to be amazing, and it's going to hit West Lothian like a big ball of energy. And the area in which you're doing it looks beautiful. And I think to even create such a wee community, anybody looking for a place that exists that's just like that, it's like the type of place that anybody that, you know, if you're the type of person that grows up going, right, you know, I can see things or I feel things that I can't explain and stuff, like this is going to be like, you know, that film. It's a book as well. I've even got it here. The Mrs. Perkin, what is it? The school. Mrs. Perkins School for Peculiar Children, right?
I don't quite think you've got the name right.
But it's something like that. She's a Peregrine Falcon. She turns into that. But basically, she takes all the gifted kids that are having trouble in life, and she takes them away to a school that protects them and lets them flourish and become what they are. It's kind of like that, right? It will become something kind of like that. So
it's the same thing.
Should name it that. Mrs. Paton's
School
for Peculiar.
Hey, no. It's Big Mama's house, but this is what I'm saying again, right? It's when you're putting all of these weird and wonderful things on it, because a superpower, right, for me is that I've been able to transmute everything that's been negative in my life and bring in something positive. Now, that doesn't mean to say that I've made stars appear or the sun appear or rain disappear or I've shifted water or rocks, but I've shifted something within me. That's a superpower, right? So that for me, there's nothing peculiar about that. In fact, there's something that's just really empowering about that.
Yeah.
And it's letting kids wake up and know that they have something within each of them. Stop dimming your light. Don't shine because you're scared of being judged or you fear anything. Step into your power and do it before you get to an age where you're susceptible to becoming products of everybody else's environment. So I do want to create superhumans.
It'll be amazing. And I think the gateway for that is content, because that's where everyone's attention is. So everybody will most definitely be seeing a lot more of you. Make sure for everybody tuning in tonight and everybody listening in the archives to go ahead, go onto Facebook with Love Lindsay Paton, and keep an eye out on TikTok and everywhere else. Make sure you do go to Amazon and get the Soulful Explorer. Even just type that in. There are links in the description and in the comments. You can go to Saxo. Here, what website? Saxo. What's that?
So that see that one that I've given you. That's not. So that's European. So that's for Germany. That's for all the European countries. So it's in Waterstones. It's on Amazon. It's in Barnes and Noble as well. So there should be a link that's there for that. You can purchase it via the website. But I mean, that's just the beginning. The book's just the beginning. There will be other books that will follow. And it'll be drilling into some of the magical stuff that we're creating at Life Force Energies. So so watch this space.
Right, Kev, fire that out at me when you're done.
I shall.
You go on and buy a copy. Don't be so cheeky.
I might just have to do that now that you've said it on live.
I want to screenshot it on your Kindle or something like that. All right. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. And this, like I say, I only feel like we've only 3% of everything we could talk about has only been touched upon tonight. So I look forward to more episodes, and I know for a fact that our audience does too. And everybody's going to go ahead and follow you. And I'm going to plow through that at every chance I get, and then we're going to have even deeper conversations about exactly what that is.
Can I touch on that as well? Because I'd say, look, and I'd actually mentioned to you, right? There's obviously, I think the process, the artistic process of becoming an author was quite challenging, right? And I think a lot of what stops people is, again, fear of judgment. So I'd explain to people, like, there's spelling mistakes, there's grammar mistakes, and I actually don't care, because for me, it's the message. And as long as we're getting the messaging across, so don't ever let any of your fears stop you from shining your light.
Absolutely.
Just go ahead and do it. And by the way, everybody's got a story. I think that more people need to share, because the more people share, the less judgmental people get as well. So the more that we share our vulnerability, and we're open and honest, and we're integral, and we show up authentically, that's living. That's when things get juicy. So yeah, I want to see more people come on and be writing stories about their lives and stuff like that as well. I am actually actively trying to get people to do that, because it's an amazing process. Absolutely amazing process.
Therapy in itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
But thanks for having me. I know
No,
I
hey.
could just stay talking. You'll just need to cut me off.
Not at all. Our pleasure.
I've just checked as well. I'm actually early shift on the 10th of October, so I can make it to your opening. So that's lovely. I shall make
we
sure
look
that
to
I'm
see
there.
everybody there. I'm sure a lot of people that tuned in tonight will be there as well, because they're local enough to come along. Again,
Except
thank you
Janice.
very much.
Janice,
I know.
yeah,
She's out in America, but I'm sure it'll be over there at some point.
Well, I want to get to America at one point as well. I'm coming, America. I'm coming.
we'll come with you just to meet Janice. Right. Thanks again, and everybody, make sure to go ahead, buy the book, and follow to see what's next, because there's some really cool stuff coming up. So again, thank you very much for everybody that took time to tune in tonight on a Sunday.
Thank
it's
you.
a school night. It's a school night. So you guys rock. Everybody rocks, and we shall see you guys next week, Sunday at 9 p.m. live. Take it easy, guys. Thanks again.
Thank you.
We should be doing this every year, every week.
There we go.